Okay, so now that we have downloaded the dissertation documents, step two in phase two is to list the recommendations for future research for each dissertation. And we're going to post it here. Okay, so what we're going to do first is we're going to go back and we're just going to highlight this, copy, and then paste it here. Competing attachment. And then the next one is just going to see copy, not copy link. And then we're going to post this one here. And then the next one is 4, which is the effects of positive and negative co-parenting. Paste that there. And then the next one is 6. And we're going to post that there. Actually, we're just going to move this down to the second page. All right, and then number 8. Oops. It's just easier to copy it here than from the document because the document is actually a PDF, and sometimes it's very difficult to copy things from a PDF. So we just copy it from the actual site. And then 10 is the last one, and we just copy that there. And then we paste it into the document. Okay, like so. All right. So now we're going to go to the actual dissertations. All right, so let me just open this here. And we're going to go to topic, review document, so competing attachment. So what we're going to do for competing attachment is we're going to move this over like so and move this up. All right, so for the first one, let's see, recommendations for future research. That's what we're looking for. We're going to focus on that. And that is on page, it's usually in chapter 5, recommendations for future research, 156. So we go to page 156. And recommendations for practice, recommendations for future research. Let's say recommendations for future research were developed. The primary limitation included the use of convenience sampling and the use of a new measurement instrument, which had not been previously validated. These limitations will be discussed in addition to suggestions for improvement. A primary limitation of the study was the use of convenience sampling instead of random sampling. Recruitment strategies prohibited the guarantee of equal participants between genders, resulting in the majority of study participants being female. Based on the findings from the study, it is recommended that the future research on competing attachments consider the use of different recruitment and sampling strategy to avoid limitations in interpretations of research. So basically, they're just saying have a more balanced and even distribution, quota sampling. Probably that's what basically they're saying. That's not really important. You can't use quota sampling as the basis for novelty and to repeat the study. A second limitation created by the use of a convenience sample was a very small subsample of participants' self-reporting experiences of the main construct of interest. Future research should collect a much larger sample population in order to capture a larger subsample of participants. Okay, so the second recommendation is to use a larger sample. Okay, fine. A third limitation was the use of the competing attachment scale, which was created for use in this study, was not pilot tested to verify its validity and reliability. This study was able to produce some data on the reliability and validity of the instrument, but a future study will need to fully examine the reliability and validity of the competing attachment scale. It is recommended that future research consider standardizing and better validating the reliability of the competent or competing attachment scale. Okay, so they didn't really give us a lot there. Additional research should be done on fully validating the reliability of the competing attachment scale, including any suggested revisions and translations. Finally, though, the relationship among demographic variables was not an area of direct examination in this study. The results did reveal some findings that suggest a significant relationship between income and attachment insecurity. The nature of this relationship is unknown, therefore, a future study could consider examining the relationship between attachment style and income to better understand the relationship among these variables. Okay, so this is probably one. It's unknown. So future study could consider, that's going to be one. And we're going to paste that here. So we're going to highlight this and we're going to so that's one. Let's go back and see. Reliability competing. This would allow research to extend findings of the research by collecting data on more diverse cultures and populations that were limited by the constraints found in the study. Okay, so of the types of competing attachments discussed in this study, it is unknown what the most frequently reported problematic types of competing attachment are. Further research might consider capturing which types of competing attachments are most frequently reported as problem. Okay, so this would be one as well. This could be a possible recommendation. All right, and then there was one about ethnicity. They did seem, that's always a good way to extend a study. If the study did not focus on ethnicity or culture, one way to extend a study is to focus on a particular ethnic group. So it says here, the same variables in much larger sample. This would allow research to extend the findings of this research by collecting data on more diverse cultures and populations. Okay, so extend the research, extend the findings of the research. So collecting data on more diverse. So this, we're going to just go with those three. This is always an easy way to extend a study, is to focus on a particular ethnic group or gender. Collect data on more diverse cultures. All right, that's what we're going to, so we're going to leave that there. Okay. Okay, so now we're looking at the impact of text messaging dependence on relationship satisfaction. Okay, so now we're going to go and see where recommendations for future research, the page that's on, future research 79. 79. There are many potential avenues to explore given the current study. First, it would be interesting to compare these same three variables of attachment, text dependence, and relationship satisfaction across demographic characteristics in more controlled, diverse, and larger samples. For instance, comparing the variables across ethnicities can increase generalizability while contributing to the literature on cultural differences on these variables. So, looking at them by ethnicity. So, either across ethnicities, comparing ethnic groups, or just looking at a single ethnic group. Again, that is the easiest way to extend a study or to replicate a study, is to say you're going to look at it by either ethnicity or gender or, you know, religious group or something like that. But generally it's gender and ethnicity. Okay, so then let's see what's another one. Researchers can focus on one particular ethnicity, such as the texting habits of relational patterns in Asian populations, along with similar ideas. It would be interesting to explore differences between individuals and collective cultures when comparing their texting independence, dependence, attachment styles, and relationships. This may give insight into how the role of society, i.e., the inclusion of levels of independence, affects one's attachment style or characteristic. Okay, so that means you're comparing different cultures, which might be a little difficult within a particular country because culture tends to be very homogenous. Let's see, this may give insight along similar. It would be interesting to explore differences between individualistic and collectivist cultures. Okay. Someone from an individualistic culture may be more self-reliant compared to someone from a non-individualistic. Okay. To examine the progression of texting dependence over time, research can focus on a comparison of age groups and the effects of texting on their relationships. So this is looking at age groups. Participants 18 years and above, controlled age groups, categorical data versus continuous may give insights into the influence of texting over time in the American culture. Okay, so that's pretty good. So we're going to add this one. Progression of texting dependence over time, research focusing on a comparison of age groups and the effects of texting on their relationships. For instance, those between ages 50 to 65 years old likely did not use texting as a main form of connection while forming and maintaining their romantic relationships. On the other hand, those between the ages of 18 to 25 likely use texting as a primary form of communication. Okay, good point, good point. Let's see what else. A longitudinal design or even collecting data across multiple time points. No, we don't want that. A level The level of text dependence of those with more attachment related avoidance is still ill-defined. In order to better understand their behaviors, research can be conducted using only those with avoidant attachments, then comparing their texting behaviors and or communication behaviors together. For example, examining how often they text, the content of their communication, levels of trust, or their preferred method of communication, and why can give insight into a lack of intimacy or connectedness in their romantic relationships. So he said just looking at level of text or attachment related voice is still, in order to, research can be conducted attachments only. So that's one. So you see what I'm trying to do here. I'm coming up with possible dissertation topics that are unique based on the recommendations of the researcher. Okay? All right. And let's see what else we have. Another interesting area to explore would be if texting can be used as an intervention for couples. No, we don't want that. All right, so we're just, okay, so that's fine. All right.